Another deadly school shooting reignites an argument in Baltimore City public schools about arming their school police force, one of the only public school jurisdictions where sworn officers are not allowed to carry their guns while they're on school grounds. Joining us now with this rekindled fight, political commentator Armstrong Williams. Good morning, Armstrong.
Good morning, Tom.
We know that the Georgia high school shooter was confronted by two armed school police officers who quickly were able to de-escalate that shooting. And that started a whole conversation about Baltimore public schools and why SROs need to lock their guns up either in a school locker or leave them locked in their vehicle. They can't carry them while they're walking around the school grounds. Do you believe that this will change that, or is this still the same rhetoric after a school shooting?
Baltimore City is the only jurisdiction in the state of Maryland where you have to lock your guns up. These kids are sophisticated. This violence is well planned. Can you imagine if for someone who is conceal and carry that you only have seconds to de-escalate this situation, and then you got to go and unlock your gun? Can you imagine the amount of carnage that can happen and your child could die in the process? They were able to stop this culprit in 121 seconds. Why? Because they had their firearms and they were able to react and they were able to arrest him. Anybody that believes this craziness that you cannot have your access to your firearm after you've been trained, vetted, and gone through so many different circumstances that this law enforcement, who are these resource officers, cannot have their firearms is just absolutely insane. There's a reason why there's never been anything like this to happen in the District of Columbia. Why? Because they're armed, and they know they're armed, and they know they will do their jobs. This is insanity. Anybody with any modicum of common sense knows that this must change to give the law enforcement, even though they have the best shot at doing their job, doesn't mean they're going to save all lives, but they will save more lives than you can imagine.
Armstrong,
absolutely, give them the resources.
Local leaders are the ones that back this, saying that police should not have it. It's traumatic for some of the students that are in the schools, seeing somebody with a weapon on them. They've said they can point to previous incidents, and they say, look, there's a lot of things that have happened. There's a lot of guns that have been found in Baltimore City public schools, and no shootings have happened. So they're saying, why are we going to escalate it by putting a gun on somebody walking around?
Tom, come on. It's like terrorism. We can get it right 1,000 times. All they need to do is get it right once. Is it worth for you taking a chance of your child dying if you have an opportunity where the resource officers can use their firearm? What are we talking about here? We've seen this play out, this movie play out hundreds and hundreds of times, 45 times already this year. It's common sense to give law enforcement, these resource officers, the best chance to de-escalate and stop that would-be assassin from killing innocent children.
Armstrong, should there be a vote on this then? I mean, should parents and guardians be allowed to vote in Baltimore and say, take a vote and say, should they be armed or not?
Parents should have the say-so. And I'm telling you, Tom, they would vote overwhelmingly to protect their child and also to protect teachers.
That's another conversation that also comes up whenever there's deadly school shootings or school shootings that happen. A lot of people say, well, why aren't teachers at least allowed to be armed? You know, I mean, we've got carry laws in certain states, and why can't the teachers be armed, at least have a couple of them concealed?
You know, listen, we have resource officers. Let's just continue with this. This is why you have people who are trained. Teachers are not necessarily trained. They can panic. They just don't have the expertise with a firearm. Get people who really have the knowledge, the experience, the calmness, and the mentality to de-escalate and stop this before it becomes your child who's killed next. I mean, this nonsense has to stop. At least give the schools a chance to stop this before it happens, to stop it in its track. Because we've already seen you can have all the cameras, all the technology in the world, and it still happens. What's left now is give them a chance, these resource officers, to be armed, so these kids know when they come in with their weapons, there's somebody else who's also packing. That's an intimidating and a fact for them to rethink about what they're about to do.
Armstrong Williams, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.